Hello students, let me introduce myself to you all. I am Dr. Tilakam, working in Avinashlingam University, and I am in the Department of Resource Management and Interior Design. Today I am going to talk to you about principles of design, application of design principles in interiors. Now many times you would have seen people have beautiful interiors, and all of us are very well aware that today interior design is playing a very important role. People, even without the basic knowledge of interior design, they were able to design beautiful interiors because they may have good taste. But what about others who may or may not have good taste? The thing is, if you know the basic principles of design, then it may be of great help to design beautiful interiors. Today, the lesson is planned based on following the objectives to understand the 5 principles of design and to learn to apply the principles in designing interiors. Let me start with proportion. Proportion is the law of relationship which demands that all space divisions be pleasingly related to each other and to the whole. The relationship may be one of magnitude, quantity or degree, which results in the correct or pleasing relation of part of a single object. The principles of proportion are therefore represented as law of space relationship. It indicates that relationship between parts of the same thing or between different things of the same group should be satisfying. The ancient Greeks during the civilization analyzed and developed a scale of space relationship which is represented as Greek or golden oblong or golden section. For flat areas, the ideal proportion is 2:3, 3:5, 5:8 and so on. For 3-dimensional areas of space division, it is 5:7:11 ratio is suggested. The Greek scale of space relationship applies to the shape of a room as well as to the size of the furnishing in the room. A space that is exactly divided into halves or third or quarters is less attractive than unequal division. That is why rectangle seems to be more interesting than squares. Goldstein and Goldstein indicate that there are 3 practical problems which we face in day-to-day life in applying the principle proportion. They are how to achieve arrangement which will hold the interest, how to make the best of given sizes and shapes, and how to judge what sizes may be successfully grouped together. The solutions suggested for these problems are: in order to achieve arrangements that will hold interest, one must know how to create beautiful space relationships. In order to make the best of given sizes and shape, one must be able to produce a semblance of change in appearance if it is desirable. In order to judge what sizes may be grouped together successfully, it is necessary to grasp the underlying significance of scale. 1. Creating beautiful space relationship. While dividing a space into 2 interesting parts, there are 3 possibilities. They are: all spaces may differ, all the space may be alike, there may be variation in some of the spaces and repetition in others. All the spaces may differ. When all the spaces differ, it tends to provide the greatest variety. This type of spacing is excellent and suitable for smaller areas, while it may create confusion when used in larger areas. All the space may be alike. When all spaces are alike, it may result in monotony as a result of repetitive lines or color or space. One can bring in interest by introducing different colors or textures. Example, National Flag of India. There may be variation in some of the spaces and repetition in others. This produces an effective design, especially when one section or design dominates the other. This comparatively looks better as there is harmony in repetition, but variation provided will change the monotony. While arranging objects on a shelf, one should make an attempt to secure interest in the heights and in spaces between the objects. While arranging group of objects within a larger group, as in assembling several pictures which should harmonize in a particular wall space, the space between the pictures in a group should be smaller than the width of the pictures. Producing a change of appearance. This could be achieved by producing illusionary space in order to make the best of the given sizes and shapes, one must be able to produce a semblance of change in appearance. Vertical or horizontal line when used will add to the height or add width to any object. Change on appearance through colors can be obtained. Extending the color of wall to the ceiling to increase the apparent height of the wall, long and narrow room can be made to look normal by using bright colors for shorter walls and dull colors for the longer walls. Other ways to bring in change in appearance are use of vertical or horizontal wall hanging to emphasize height or width of the wall. A long room can be made to appear shorter by using rugs for various furniture groups of activities. By using balances and cornice boards, the height could be reduced. Understanding the significance of scale. Scale indicates the understanding and selecting of the object and arranging them in such a manner that they will appear as one whole. It is related to proportion, in which scale represents the relative sizes of object selected, while proportion deals with the relationship between the parts of an object. Scale then means the size of all the parts or elements of an object should have a pleasing and consistent relation with the structures and to each other, and the sizes of the object as such should be in proportion with each other object combined with it. An object will look very small when it is placed near to a very large one. This is due to combination of object with two inconsistent sizes. They accentuate each other by contrast and hence appear out of scale. Some examples are: huge and bulky furniture will fit a huge room, while small pieces of furniture will suit an average sized room. A spacious effect can be given to a room while using small scale furniture. Texture and patterns also may create differences in scale. Coarse textures produce an effect of heaviness, while the fine textures give feeling of lightness. Large patterns are ideal for large wall areas, while small patterns are suitable for small wall areas. Intermediate patterns and textures could be coupled with both coarse and fine textures as well as small and large pattern. It is not necessary to measure and arrange different spaces of furniture, but due to practice, our eye will tell us whether the arrangement is interesting or pleasing, which is mainly due to adoption of principle, proportion or scale in any arrangement. Balance. While arranging a space with furnishing, lightings and accessories, various spaces, sizes, colors and textures are used. While using the various objects, they should be arranged in such a way that there is a state of equilibrium. It is so natural in any design or arrangement so that when it exists, it is not realized, but when not achieved, a sense of uncomfortableness is produced. In simple terms, balance means rest or repose. Goldstein and Goldstein define balance as the restful effect obtained by grouping shapes and colors around the center in such a way that there is equal attraction on both the sides. A perfect example for balance is a seesaw. The principle that is applied for seesaw could also be applied for balance, an art principle when two objects of equal weightage is placed at equal distance from the central pivot, it will be balanced. While one object is heavier than one on the other side, then the heavier object should be placed towards the center based on its weight. So also, when the visual weight of the objects placed on either side of the center object or imaginary center is the same, then it should be placed at equal distance from the center. When the visual weightage of an object is more on one side due to variation of size, color, texture or attraction, then the object should be brought towards the center. However, the distance at which it is placed from the center depends on the visual weightage of the object. The visual weight of any object is assessed based on the attention it demands. Types of balance. There are three types of balance. One is symmetrical, formal or axial balance. Two is asymmetrical, informal or occult balance, and 3 is radial balance. 1. Symmetrical or formal or axial balance. If objects on either side is equal in visual weightage or equally forceful in appearance, then they may draw equal attraction and therefore should be placed at equidistance from the imaginary center, and it is called as formal balance. There are two types of formal balance, namely bisymmetrical and obvious balance. Bisymmetrical balance is achieved when one side of the center of the object is the exact reverse of the other half. When one object on either side of a center object are not identical but equal in the power of attraction, it is called as obvious balance. Formal balance is also known as passive balance. The qualities indicated by formal balance are quiet, rest and repose, dignity, feeling of precision, static, stable, and create an air of formality. Asymmetrical, informal or occult balance. In order to achieve an asymmetrical, informal, occult balance or optical balance, the object on either side of the center objects or imaginary center should be different. Asymmetrical should be obtained when visual weightage or visual force are equal and but not identical. Asymmetrical represents quick and vigor, suggests movements, spontaneity and informality. It allows freedom and flexibility in arrangements for utility and beauty. It requires imagination and individual qualitative judgments regarding the placement of objects. Symmetry is preferred when formal, traditional or tranquil effect is desired. Asymmetry is used in places where informality and flexibility are desirable and when spacious effect is sought for. Radial balance, when all parts of a composition are repeated and balanced around a center like petals of a daisy, or the widening of ripples from the pebbles thrown into a pond is indicated as radial balance. It may result from the arrangement of elements about a center point. Harmony. Goldstein defines harmony as the art principle which produces an impression of unity through the selection and arrangement of consistent objects and ideas. Seetharaman and Pannu define harmony as consonance of the pleasing agreement of parts or a combination of parts into composition. It should form a satisfying whole. While considering the appearance and use of any piece of work, harmony is the most fundamental requirement. When harmony is carried out to the maximum while using elements with similar traits, it must result in unified but uninteresting composition. When variety is carried out to the extreme to create interest, it may result in visual chaos. The principle of harmony takes up 5 aspects. They are harmony of line and shape, harmony of size, harmony of texture, harmony of idea or theme, harmony of color. Harmony of line and shape. The composition of a line can be horizontal, vertical or curved. In any of these compositions, they are grouped under those main group, namely lines which repeat one another, that is harmony through repetition, lines which contrast one another, that is harmony through contrast, lines which soften or modify, harmony through transition. A combination of lines results in shape. While combining different shape, it results in harmony of shape. Example, A is in perfect harmony since one square fits into the other of the same shape. When a shape contradicts with the other shape as in B, it results in harmony through contrast shapes. The combination should be used only when extreme contrasts are desired. Transitional lines have easy, graceful and softening effects which have the power to bring shapes together as in figure C. In designing any interiors, number of shapes and forms are used. If an orderly arrangement of line and shapes are followed, it results in harmony. Harmony of size. When objects of two different sizes are together, they give a feeling of being inconsistent. Scale, an aspect of proportion, is related to harmony of size. For example, a small sized room should be furnished with small furniture. Similarly, large furniture can be used in big rooms. Harmony of texture. Texture, either visual or tactile, has gained importance in decorating the interiors. both commercial and residential interiors. For successful planning in interior decoration, the planner should understand that coarse texture will not go with the fine texture, while both coarse and fine textures may blend with medium texture. For example, fine polished wooden furniture can be upholstered with fine textured glazed material, while rough wooden furniture can be upholstered with rough, hard woven materials. Harmony of idea or theme. An interior decoration should plan as how to place things and forms in an area so that it will reflect the idea or theme of the room. The setup should represent the purpose of the room arranged. Example, a cottage style should be followed in the farmhouse, while the arrangement may not suit a mansion. Whatever may be the type of decoration adopted, it is essential to consider that the object used should blend with each other and be in harmony. Thus, it should look pleasing and appealing to the eye. Harmony of color. When colors which have something in common are in harmony, they give the impression that the colors combined really belong to each other. In general, harmonies are classified under two categories: related color harmony and contrasting color harmony. Rhythm. According to Golson and Colson, in art, rhythm means an easy connected path along which the eye moves in any arrangement of line, form or color. Rhythm then is a related movement. In any arrangement, the eye should move smoothly and gracefully from one object to another to create an important principle of design. It makes the eye to wander over the total design before it stops at a particular point of focus. There are 7 ways in which rhythm is achieved. They are rhythm through repetition of shapes, lines, color, etc. Rhythm through alteration, rhythm through progression of size or gradation, rhythm through continuous line movement, rhythm through radiation, rhythm through opposition, and rhythm through transition. Rhythm through repetition of shapes, lines and colors. It is the easiest way to develop rhythm. This type of rhythm can be obtained by repeating a particular shape, line and color at definite regular intervals. While securing rhythm through repetition, one may have to be careful in avoiding monotony in spacing. When the space between the object or design are far apart, then that design may lack rhythm. In order to create a rhythmic feeling, a shape or design should be used number of times. This may also give an effect of repose. Any shape or design should be used number of times. This may also give an effect of repose. Any shape or design which is difficult to use as an individual unit can be used successfully if repeated at short intervals. Rhythm through alternation. Any design or line can be alternated with another to create interesting effects. Example, the stripes on zebra. This type of rhythm overcomes monotony and creates interesting effect without changing the unity of the design created. Rhythm through continuous line movement. It carries the eye throughout the design and gives a feeling of continuous movement. This line is made largely of curves. No matter at which point the eye enters, it is carried through an easy flowing movement throughout the design without any hindrance. Examples are the design on seashells or column. Rhythm through progression of size or gradation. This type of design produces a rapid movement. Hence, careful handling is required. A progression through gradual change in line, size, color, pattern and light will produce a rhythm through progression or gradation. These types of progression in small areas are seen in scallops on the laces or in large areas like that of temple gopuram. Rhythm through gradation is sometimes misrepresented in the art object or pictures hung on the walls, as it tends to carry the eye to the ceiling. Gradation or progression in values of color are seen in textile shop or dresses sometimes. Rhythm through radiation. It is a type of movement that is produced due to organized movement that radiates from the center like the rays of the sun. Example, a rangoli pattern used on the floor. It is produced when many lines extend from center point or axis. It is not often found in home decoration unless it is used as accessories, dressing tables, etc. Rhythm through opposition or contrast. It is Purposive placement of forms or colors to create opposition by abrupt transition instead of gradual change. Example, a round design placed next to a square. Yellow color placed next to purple. Straight cornices over windows with curtains and draperies that are hanging straight. These type of design will produce exciting responses and also provides continuity upon which rhythm is established. Rhythm by transition. This form of rhythm carries the eye move gradually from one place to another. Example of transition are found in arched doors, in curved cornices and fitted valances that extend on all the three sides of a window. Emphasis. Emphasis is defined as the center of interest to which the eye is carried, first to the most important in any arrangement and form, there to every other detail in the order of its importance. Faulkner and Faulkner present 4 levels of emphasis such as emphatic, dominant, subdominant and subordinate. To create an interesting effect, every room should have a center of interest. It should be the most dramatic element which attracts the attention of anyone entering the area. When no focal point is created in a room, boredom rapidly sets in. For successful application of emphasis in the interior, one should have the knowledge of the following: what to emphasize, how to emphasize, how much to emphasize, and where to place the emphasis. What to emphasize? A designer should decide on what to emphasize before he gets into the project. Though what one wants to emphasize may vary from individual to individual, it is suggested that the background should be least emphasized and it is only against the background various objects are seen. Hence, it should be quiet and less conspicuous. If the objects are not worth emphasizing, it can be vice versa. How to emphasize? Goldstein and Goldstein had suggested 5 ways of creating emphasis or attract attention. They are as follows: by placing or grouping of objects, by use of contrast colors, by using decoration, by having sufficient plain background, by using contrasting or unusual lines, shapes or sizes. It is not necessary that only any one of the methods stated above should be used to create emphasis, but even 2, 3 or even all the 5 methods could be applied in any area to emphasize. Emphasis through placing or grouping of objects. When related objects are grouped around one function or purpose, they create emphasis by creating unity among its various objects without producing confusion. It is also essential that various objects should be placed at appropriate places. Emphasis by use of contrast colors. Since the eye is quickly attracted by strong contrast of light and dark colors or bright and dull colors, by placing an object against a background which contrasts one can emphasize an object. In order to make a room unified, intermediate hues or values of the striking contrast of color can be used. Emphasis through the use of decoration. Decoration is a useful means to create emphasis. Decoration in an object should be placed at structural points to enhance the beauty of the object. It should be simple, suitable to the object, and decoration should be covered the surface quietly. Some objects which do not have any function, they are used purely for decoration at the point of emphasis while decorating the interiors. Emphasis through plain background. The use of plain background is important to bring out the quality of any object placed against it. It is essential to understand the 2 important guidelines. When object is given through enough background space and separation from other thing, it gains importance. When the selected object is placed close to each other, they will be seen as a group and not as separate units. Since plain spaces are one of the most important consideration in bringing out the quality of an object, it is also one of the most important methods of emphasizing an object. Emphasis through the use of contrast or unusual lines, shapes, sizes and colors. Anything that is unusual or different from the rest or its group attracts our attention. This type of emphasis is seen in the headlines of newspaper where the size of the headlines varies with the importance of news. Use of contrast colors and unusual sized letters could be seen in banners or advertisements on the roadside, which attracts the attention of the people. How much to emphasize? The amount of emphasis varies with each arrangement, while giving a grade for emphasizing different objects placed in a room. Background should be given a point near 0 in the scale, and various focal points are provided with different grades according to the order of importance. Simplicity is the key word or the answer for how much to emphasize. Where to place the emphasis? When an object is placed on a horizontal plane and when it has to view from all sides, then the object to be emphasized should be placed in the center. In a vertical plane, the center of interest will be slightly above the exact center. It can therefore be concluded that structuring of art forms is guided by establishing principles. It can be said that the principles of art are not only actually the formulae for creating beauty, but also help in judging whether an object or area of the house artistically good or poor. Because a design is created by the selection and arrangement of form, color, texture, etc., the result in the expression of the person who selects and arranges them. In that sense, a home setting is a design as it represents the ideas and personalities of individuals who live in it. It is therefore important for an interior designer to understand some of the basic principles that might serve as a guide for creating good designs. It can therefore be concluded that structuring of art forms is guided by establishing principles. It can be said that the principles of art are not only actually the formulae for creating beauty, but also help in judging whether an object or area of the house artistically good or poor. Because a design is created by the selection and arrangement of form, color, texture, etc., the result in the expression of the person who selects and arranges them. In that sense, a home setting is a design as it represents the ideas and personalities of individuals who live in it. It is therefore important for an interior designer to understand some of the basic principles that might serve as a guide for creating good designs.